Hi, I'm Dave Monty and welcome to my video series, Everything Villages. Today I'm going to do a quick market update as we're going into the summer of 2021. And you all know it is a very strong seller's market, but we're going to talk about just how strong it is. And we're going to talk about how to conduct a successful buying trip down to the villages with limited inventory. So stay tuned. If you like my free 40-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, just email me at davemontysales@gmail.com and I'll send you out your copy. As I said in the introduction, I'm going to do a quick market update on the villages. I do have a video that is posted that says, when is it the best time to look for a home? And what I indicated is as we're coming out of the winter months and then actually going into the winter months are kind of some of the stronger times to buy a home. Demand is down and inventories are up. Well, this year the inventories just did not recover at all, and I'm going to show you some of those metrics. And it's caused a lot of frustration for buyers coming into the villages. And I want to discuss how to conduct a successful trip here to the villages to look for a home and define that success, and also what to bring and how to prepare for that trip. So let's first start off with the market itself. And as I said, and I think everybody knows this is an unprecedented seller's market throughout the country unless you're living in one of the cities. And that's one of the things that's causing this increase in demand is people moving out of the cities and out into the suburbs, or taking early retirement, or learning that they can work remotely and might as well retire early. So those are all a few of the factors that are affecting the market, but just how strong of a seller's market is there? In the real estate industry, we use a metric all the time called months of inventory. And it just tells you how much inventory you currently have on hand. And it's a simple calculation. You take how many homes on average have been selling over the past few months, and you divide that number into the current inventory, and it's going to tell you how many months of inventory you have on hand. A balanced market is 6 months worth of inventory. Now, the villages, as far back as I've seen and looked at the numbers, has never been a buyer's market. It is always a strong seller's market, averaging about 3 months worth of inventory. But let's take a look at where it sits today, because it's actually kind of interesting. So over the last 4 months, and I probably could go back a little bit further, but it seems to the buying or the lack of inventory has really accelerated over the last few months. So I went back 4 months, and on average, off the MLS, there's 233 homes being sold in the villages. And now those are resales. There's probably as many new homes, if not more, being sold in that. And you probably could expect about the same number of homes of resales on the villages side. If I take the look at the current inventory on the MLS, there are 61 homes in all price ranges, whether they're villas or houses. That leaves a 0.26 months of inventory, which is unprecedented, or about 1 week worth of inventory. So you can imagine it has become a little bit frustrating for buyers that are coming into the market. Prices continue to increase, and even as an investor, I'm starting to think that if I put an offer on a house at a certain price, by the time I close in 4 to 5 weeks, I've already got equity built into the property. I could probably turn it around and sell it for a good profit. That's how fast things are moving. By the time you close on your house, it's worth more than when you put the contract on the house. Anything that is nice is going in 1 to 2 days, and typically on the first day, and typically with multiple offers. And like I said, it's kind of causing a lot of frustration for buyers. Let's talk about how to prepare for your visit. Everything that we're going to talk about is about speed, and speed to make an offer, and speed to get information to the seller so they can make an informed decision. So before you come here, what I ask my buyers to do is to really keep an eye on the market to get a sense of what they're going to get for their budgets. And I will get on the phone with them and point out the different areas and how pricing is structured in the different areas. And I've got some videos on that. Now, the pricing has changed, but the relative difference between the prices of homes in the north and the south remain about the same. Do not set your expectations on underpriced homes. And what do I mean by that? I see it a lot where there happens to be a home that is completely underpriced. And I think I just ran into that situation where it looks like the real estate agent set the price 4 or 5 months ago and the house was in probate. And it just got out of probate and it just went onto the market. But I think she still had the price that was there from 4 or 5 months ago. And I brought a client into this house. They really wanted it. When we left, we found out that the house had already just gone pending. But what happened is when we went into that house, that price was so low compared to the property that became the expectation of my buyer. And I see that quite a bit. Someone will go into an open house and go, this is exactly what we're looking for. This is a fantastic deal. Well, a lot of those houses will have multiple offers, and often the price gets bid up over where it's being listed at. But from then on out, the buyers tend to compare to that. Well, that house was priced at this. Well, those are, unicorns, meaning, those are rare to find, and you have to be absolutely lucky to get one of those, especially in today's buyer's market. You almost have to rely on a mistake by the other agent or a seller who's just desperate to get out of a property for whatever reason. If you need proceeds from your current house to close on your next house, my recommendation is to sell your house and close even before you start looking. And why do I say that? Well, here in the Villages, contingency offers are not being accepted. And I'm going to get into that a little bit when we talk about how to make an offer in this market. The goal is to present as clean of an offer as possible. Now, again, that's if you need the proceeds from the sale of your house. What to bring, and again, I mentioned this earlier, you're preparing for speed. Number one, have your checkbook with you, meaning if you want a home, you're going to be expected to put a deposit down of earnest money. Now, if you're buying a new home in the Villages, you can expect to put down 10%. When you're buying a resale home, it's just really a matter of how much that home is. That earnest money just gives the seller confidence that this is a serious offer. And I'll use an example. If you're buying $1 million home and you put down $5,000, someone who can afford the $1 million home probably can afford to walk away from the $5,000. So that's not really a strong contract. But if I'm selling a $250,000 home, a $5,000 down payment or earnest money is probably enough to secure that property. But the higher that number, the more secure that the seller is going to feel, and the less nervous they're going to be about you walking away from a deal. Just have your checkbook ready when you come here. If you're going to pay cash, you need to have proof of funds. And what do I mean by proof of funds? Print out bank statements or investment statements, stock portfolio, whatever you want. Cross out the account numbers, just have your name and a total. You just need to show in whatever accounts that you have that you can cover the cost of that house. So if you got a 401k with $550,000 in it, and you're looking at a $400,000 home, that will suffice. So bring proof of funds. If you're getting a loan, have a pre-approval letter, and I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, because that pre-approval letter isn't necessarily for the seller, it's for you and to have confidence, and we'll talk about that. And also bring a laptop or a tablet. I don't know how many times we run into late night hours trying to negotiate contracts. It becomes very difficult if we need ink signatures. Everything we can do nowadays, especially on the purchase side of things, can be done with electronic signature, and it's much easier if you have a laptop here in order to do that. So the next thing you need to do is define the goals for your trip. What is going to be a successful trip for you? Now, in my opinion, in this market, your goal should be to advance the process. There is a good chance that you come down and you don't find the house that you want. The last thing you want to do is just hop on any house that is semi-close to your needs and pay a little bit too much and not be happy with your purchase. So even if you come down here anticipating to buy and you learn a little bit more about the market, you narrow down your search criteria, you can consider that a successful trip. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this down here. Are you here to find a home, or are you on vacation, or both? My recommendation, if you're serious about buying a home, is that whatever you plan to do here, don't do it in large chunks of time. In other words, don't go play golf all day. there's actually a good chance that a very nice property that you might be interested in is going to come on the market and be gone by the middle of the afternoon. So I would refrain from scheduling large chunks of time. Also, if you're going to go out at night, have your phone with you. It happens quite a bit where there's a lot of things going on when a client is looking to make an offer, and we have a discussion, and then they'll disappear for 2 or 3 hours going to dinner at night or going down to the town square. And in the meantime, other offers are coming in. So time is of the essence. And I did get ahead of myself on that last slide. So time is of the essence. If you're here, and we'll talk about this even if you're remote, but if you're here, check your listings every morning. Now, listings will come online during the day. While you are here, ask your agent for you to be alerted by the MLS when a new listing comes on the market that matches your criteria. Because if it's a nice property, it's going to go very fast. So not only do you check your listings in the morning, have your phone by you, and check your email for new listings as they're coming on the market. And I did say this, avoid scheduling chunks of time because, again, time is of the essence. If you need to move fast, the last thing you want to be is on the golf course trying to figure out if I can do an electronic signature on your phone. Okay, that's the next one. Always have your phone on you. We did talk about this. No house is perfect. I don't care what your budget is. I've personally looked in every price range throughout my career, and I can tell you if I'm looking at a $250,000 home, it's like, oh, if it just had the extra bedroom, this would be perfect. I've looked at much more expensive homes and walked in and said, oh, if it only had this. So I know from personal experience, I've never bought the absolute perfect home. So I'm not saying to settle. I am saying that, have an open mind when you're going in to look at homes. And lastly, if you find a home you like, don't hesitate. I've said this on a previous video, and it's happened since again, where I'm out with a client. They love a house that they see early on in the buying process. And I tell them, let's go make an offer because there's a chance this will be gone. It'll be gone during the afternoon as we're looking at these 7 other properties. And guess what? It's gone by the time we get an offer in. Well, let's talk about how to make an offer in this market, especially if you have multiple offers. First of all, the word contingency can't even cross your lips. There are no contingent offers right now. For the most part, almost every offer that I'm seeing is cash. Now, let me define that. On the standard contract for Florida, you have a section which talks about financing, and the very first box is called cash. Or not contingent on financing. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you have to bring, if you have a $400,000 home, it doesn't mean that you have to wire $400,000 to close on the house. You can still get a loan, right? But a couple things. If you're going to have a $400,000 house, you need proof of funds like we talked about to show that you have that $400,000. You can still go get the loan. Okay. Now, why did I ask for a pre-approval letter? That's so you know you are approved, so you are confident in making a cash offer. Again, remember, cash offer just means not contingent on financing. And in order to compete in this market, highly recommend, even if you're getting a loan, to make that cash offer. And talk to your agent about that and the ins and outs of that. Okay, so don't overpay, but there are a lot of factors that go into that. In a normal market, you're just going to have your agent do a comparison on that property to figure out what the fair market value is. Well, it seems like every property that I've looked at over the past 3 months has been well above fair market value, even to the point where we've been asked to adjust how we do comps. A traditional comp is done by looking at 6 months worth of solds, the pendings, and what's currently on the market. Right now, we are doing comps strictly on what is pending because those are the latest homes. That's how fast the market is moving. Then I say take into account, in my slide here, take into account all factors. If you are not comfortable buying sight unseen and you don't find anything and this house checks most of your boxes and you do want to make an offer and it is the right thing, it's not an emotional buy, you might expect to pay a little bit more than what they're asking, especially if there are multiple offers. How high should you go? That's a personal thing. There should be ranges of where you should not go above. But at the same time, you also need to take into account do I need another trip to come down here? Am I going to spend another $5,000 on plane tickets and on accommodations and food and all that? If I go under contract today, and I think I said this earlier in one of the slides, there's a good chance that by the time you close that house will be below fair market value and you got a good deal. So that's how fast things are moving. I know it's tricky. Okay, the last thing on this slide is talking about what to do with multiple offers. I like to use something called an escalating offer. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of it because there's some advantages and there's some disadvantages to it. But how an escalating offer works is in a multiple offer situation, you're going to say to the seller that I'm going to beat the highest other bid that you have by X amount of dollars, let's say $2,000, up to a cap. So the house lists at $300,000. You can make a $295,000 offer. I'm going to beat the next offer by $2,000 up to $312,000. If it goes over $312,000, then I am out. And what I like about that is it kind of takes the emotions out. You set a limit so you don't go over that, so you don't get emotionally caught up in an auction. So talk to your agent about that. They are a little bit tricky, meaning that there are advantages and disadvantages, and that's not the purpose of this video, but just know that's an option for you, right? Successful trip. Talked about this earlier on. You found a great house, fantastic, awesome. Or you narrowed down your choices by location, by style. Okay? Take this as a victory. You have progressed your home buying process by really narrowing down exactly what you want. Okay? And lastly, try to figure out if you can trust your agent for this next slide. Okay? Buying sight unseen. So you got a fast-moving market. You're coming in for 4 or 5 days a week, maybe even 10 days. You have to really, in this market, get lucky that something that is going to suit your needs, that you like, is going to come on the market while you are here. In order to make that window bigger, you could consider buying sight unseen. Now, I personally recommend you don't do that unless you've been to the villages, you have built a rapport with an agent that you trust, and you trust that person to do right by you. Now, personally, I'm 4 for 4 on sight unseens with my clients over the last year here, meaning that when they got here, they were pleased with what we picked out for them. How I tend to do this is I will do a comprehensive video, and I call it the good, the bad, the ugly video. I tell you every little nitpicky thing about the house I possibly can see as I'm walking through to give you enough information to make an informed decision. Okay? I will point out, hey, this line is beautiful, has a beautiful view, but oh, by the way, the person over to the left has their bedroom looking right into your hot tub. Do you want that? Right. So things like that I will point out. There are stucco cracks, but these cracks look like they are normal. No, these cracks look a little wider than normal. There might be a foundation issue here, so let's stay away from this one. So trust that your agent's going to do right by you. Now, even if you're buying sight unseen, time is of the essence, meaning if it's a beautiful property, and personally, if I'm 150% convinced that it's going to meet your needs, it's probably going to meet a lot of other people's needs as well. So sort of the same thing, speed matters. So look at your listings every morning when your agent sets you up in the MLS. If there's something you really like, don't necessarily rely on your agent. Pick up your phone, text your agent, go, I like this house. Can you get in there today to do a video for me? Open back up. I usually don't do this, but this is a challenging market, to say the least, for buyers. So you have to come in with the right mindset that if you don't get the house that you want, don't let it destroy your whole trip. More homes will come on the property. I have had that happen to a couple of my clients when the first one they look at, this is beautiful. It checks all our boxes. We absolutely love it. We want it. We want it. We want it. They bid above list price and still get beat out. And then from then on out, they don't want to look at any more homes. So my recommendation is you got to kind of that mindset that you're going to win some or you might lose some, but number one, come in prepared, do your homework, bring your checkbook, proof of funds, pre-approval letters, everything that you're going to need to make a solid offer. Well, I hope this video has been informative. I know it's probably not the best news that buyers want to hear, but it is the reality right now. If you would like my free 40-page guide, Buying and Selling a Home in the Villages, you can email me right here. Here's my email address, and I'll send you out a copy. I also have a bunch of calculators that talk about cost of living. Should you buy a home and rent it out before you retire? I got something called a both sides calculator where you sell a home and buy a home, and the proceeds flow from selling over to you buying a home. But check out my other videos for that. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day. We'll see you around the villages.